let's go ahead and talk about the importance of having a great grip, okay? And even with that, you have to remember golfers have slightly different grips, right? They're not all exactly identical, but obviously they've got it in a way on the club to where it matches their swing and their ball flight, right? Some have stronger grips, some are more neutral, some are weaker, okay? And just so you know what that means when it's stronger, it doesn't mean that your strength is stronger, you're holding it stronger. It just means that your hands are rotated more to the right and it closes the face, okay? When your grip is weaker, rotated more to the left, right, for a right-handed golfer, the club face is actually more open, okay? And some of those matchups can work totally good. The key is you got to find your best authentic grip, okay? By that I mean, like, if you're a person right now that's not hitting the golf ball straight, you consistently, like, yeah, the majority of my shots, if I hit 50 balls, 40% are going right of target. Guess what? You have an open club face, right? 40% are going left of target. You have a club face that's more closed consistently, okay? And the club face is king, right? Have you ever heard that? It just means it's the most important thing in the golf swing, because basically at the end of the day, when you hit the golf ball, that's all the ball knows. It doesn't know if I hit it, Tiger Woods, you hit it. It just knows what the club face tells it. Was it square? Was it open? Was it in the sweet spot? What was the loft? What was the speed? Okay, and what controls the club face is this beautiful grip, okay? And it's always hard to do a grip video on the internet, because I can't see each one of your individual grips, right? I can't necessarily see your ball flight. That's part of why I love this swing trainer so much. This AccuGrip, it's going to lay your hands on exactly right, okay? And then it also has this nice little adjustable knob here to where if your ball flight is not straight, you can actually tune it and correct it, right? Think of like the alignment in your car, okay? You're driving your car and it's pulling to the right, right? We know the alignment's off. We got to take it to the tire place. They got to redo the alignment to get it going straight. That's like a lot of your golf swings out there. The alignment is off. We need to tune it to get it straight. And when I say the alignment is off, what you want to remember here, okay, it doesn't take much in golf. That's why it's such a frustratingly hard game. If you imagine a clock face, right? If the 1 minute mark, right? Say if this was 12 o'clock right here, right? 1 minute to the right, or say this way, that's 6 degrees open, right? It's probably about this much. If that was a driver, that ball will probably go over 40 yards to the right, right? With a pitching wedge, not so much. 7-iron, a little bit more than the pitching wedge, not as much as the driver though. So even if your club face was half of a minute, if it was 3 degrees open, that ball is not going to go straight, okay? It's going to go some degree offline. It's really a game of just minutia when it comes to just degrees of a closed face, of an open face, and how that changes the ball flight wildly, right? That's why it can be such a hard game to master. So what I've noticed in all my years of teaching, okay, because at some point, I would say every student that I've ever coached with for a period of time, we work on their grip and we have to make slight adjustments to their grip because their grip changes over the course of a few weeks, right? What I mean by changes, what you should do is go grab your glove, take it out of your bag, and check out this spot right here where I drew this X, right? X marks the spot. If you have a hole or a slight wear mark here, guess what? Your grip is probably changing or moving on the club. And the reason why that starts to happen is because you're probably struggling with some type of inconsistency, the ball going right, the ball going left. So we start to put little minor changes and torques in our hands to try to correct it. And sometimes it works, some days it works, other days it's not working and the ball keeps going left, the ball keeps going right, or some combination of it being military golf going back and forth. That's all happening because your grip isn't exactly aligned to start, right? Like that car analogy. But as you go to swing, okay, and this is probably some of the best lessons I've ever given, where I get somebody that's swinging the golf club back and they don't know it, but they are changing their grip in the takeaway. Sometimes I see it right as they take it back. I see a closing of the face, an opening of the face, their hands shifting. Sometimes it's back here where you don't even know it, and their hands are adjusting on the club slightly. As they go to start down, their hands are regripping and adjusting. And I'm telling you, if you're that golfer and you're like, you know what, I don't know what, I'll be hitting the ball well, and all of a sudden I get to a certain hole, I feel a little uneasy, and I just start hitting it wildly offline. I almost 100% guarantee the answer or the key is going to be in your grip, okay? And when I say that, just getting it started to where your grip matches your ball flight, right? Like if, say for whatever reason right now, when you hit the ball, it's going straight, you've probably found a good matchup. So now your next role and purpose is to keep it consistent as you swing, okay? If you're hitting the ball too much to the left per se, your grip is too strong, which closes the face. We need to dial that back a little bit into a more neutral grip, right? That was one of Hogan's big secrets, right? Is he fought this hook for years, right? You know, the guy that, you know, basically the father of the modern golf swing. He weakened his grip, he opened the club face more in his backswing, and he ended up winning 4 majors straight, right? Arguably, you know, the best run of golf ever. So in that, right, having that grip set right, it's hugely important. If it's changing at all, and the big reason is why it changes, in order to generate power, we've got to put a lot of force in the grip. That gets the club head speed going, especially as we start down. Even as we take it back, we've got to start to kind of get things going. It's so easy to start changing that grip, okay? So what I love about this, right, is the adjustments, but also just the detail in terms of the hand positioning. Because a lot of times when people grip the club, they grab it in their palm, right? And they grab this end in their palm. There's no detail to where exactly how it should be laid in your fingers, the position of the thumb. This AccuGrip is going to give you all of it. And it even has here a little bit what I call a trigger finger, right? Like shooting a gun. There's a little formed space right in between my forefinger and my middle finger for that trigger finger. And that's really important because even as I swing, the way this knuckle lays on the club when you watch a good player's grip, this is going to give me that sense of exactly where the club face is throughout the swing. If it's too open, if it's too closed, I can feel much of that on this knuckle. Right? So the detail in this formed grip, right where my middle two fingers lay in my right hand, that's a big part of me being able to leverage and hinge the club correctly as I go back. So there's a lot going on there. When a lot of people grab the club, and I'm talking even better golfers, right? 8 handicaps, 10 handicaps, pretty solid players, they're grabbing it like they're gonna go club their meal, right? And then the other part, they're not respecting it in terms of like, man, it cannot change. If it changes just by minutia degrees, right? Or if it changes in a time of the swing where you don't know it, that ball is gonna fly wildly different, especially with the driver, right? Because it's such a straight face club. Any type of miscue with the club face gets more exacerbated. So I really have enjoyed just having this formed grip on a club that you can hit balls with, but even better than that is it adjusts, right? I've put a formed grip on clubs before for students, but I can tweak this so it aligns perfectly for your ball flight or for my ball flight. I keep mine on neutral. I've had other students using it that have fought a little bit of a slice, so we put it a little bit over towards strong, right? We adjust it over that way, and we're basically just tuning it in till their ball goes straight. And it's very simple, just has a little, just a little dial here. You dial back, you switch it to where you want, and then you start hitting golf balls. And then the cool thing is as you go to hit, right, as we're swinging it, you can feel anything in your hands, right? If there's any type of movement or adjustment. And I've put pennies in people's grip, I've put tees, I've done so many different things to try to make them aware, hey, you're changing your grip. And like I said, once they actually were able to figure it out, it took an entire hour lesson for them to really get a sense of it and feel it. It was profound how much straighter they hit the golf ball. Because like I said, if you get back here and there's just a slight adjustment, that ball is gonna fly way offline, okay? So if you're that person at all and you're not hitting the ball straight, right? Obviously in golf, all the trouble is on the sides. You're gonna have trouble scoring as best as you could. definitely check your grip out, right? Make sure it's set correct for you. It's in the right, alignment, but then also do not change it, right? You notice here as I go to swing, I'm moving my bigger muscles as I go to swing so that my hands are calm and quiet, right? What I always tell my students, the grip is just holding the club. I'm not actually torquing the grip to try to move the club back and forth, right? We don't want to do that. I'm moving the club with the momentum of my body. You can see my pressure just shifting a little bit to get going. Then I start to kick in a little bit of rotation, and then the club just smoothly accelerates to the top, changes direction right here as my pressure goes forward. And then as I move it through, I'm trying to move my pelvis, hips, shoulders all in unison all the way to my finish. And when I do it the best, my hands feel so quiet, right? I remember Gary Player, right, telling a great story. He won 2 majors in a year, right? One of the best years ever. And they asked him at the end of the year, they said, Gary, what was it? How'd you have such a great year? I mean, he won more tournaments too, but it was, that was one of the big parts is him winning 2 majors in a year. He goes, all I did the entire year, he goes, I started with a good grip and I just made sure I finished with the same grip, right? Because he too had been re-gripping his club the season prior and was not hitting the ball as well or as straight. So he goes, that's all I thought about the entire year, and I had one of the top 3 or 4 years ever in the history of golf, just thinking about keeping my grip consistently the same, okay? So he didn't have this straight stick to help him. I think it would definitely help you. It'll help you first, just get your grip laid on perfectly, and you don't have to spend 30 minutes with me trying to show you every little detail. Literally, it's idiot proof. Your lead hand goes here, your right hand goes right here. It goes right on there exactly right. You start to swing and hit shots. If you notice your ball's flying in one direction, you change the dial and you get the alignment straight, right? Just like taking your car to the mechanic. Comes back, it drives nice and straight right down the road, okay? And then from there, as you start hitting, right, you'll definitely feel, because of the ridges in the grip, you'll feel any unwanted movement in your hands. So I'll hit one here just to get a feel for that. And then as I finish, right, and this is what I'd have a lot of my students do that had the re-gripping problem. I say, hey, check your grip right after you're done. And then obviously with this trainer, it's exactly the same. What would happen with my other students, they would get up, the ones that had the re-gripping or the changing grip problem, they would hit a ball, and I'd say, all right, come back, look at it. They would bring it back, and the thing would look like this, because unknowingly they had re-gripped the club, right? And it was one of those things that could really drive them nuts, because they could swear I swung exactly the same, the way my body moved, my tempo, my rhythm, but all it takes is just a little turn of this, and that ball goes way left or way right. So it's really big, right? Especially for those of you that are not accurate, right? You're not hitting the ball straight as much as you think you should, okay? This will be big. This is basically, this dial, this thing is what controls this. And once we get that, boy, it's gonna be a lot straighter, a lot more fun for you playing golf, okay? So, like I said, I'm pretty pumped on this thing. I love the fact that you can hit balls. I love the fact that the AccuGrip has a dial on it where you can kind of tune it back and forth to your liking, to where you're getting it to go nice and straight. And I just like the fact that as you go to hold it, it's gonna hold you accountable to keeping the same grip, okay? We haven't even gotten to the compression clicker. We're gonna talk about that the next video. If it was just for the grip itself, I would probably still get this swing trainer, okay? And you guys know as well as I do, right? Even when I do videos, other people do videos, we rarely do grip videos, but it's such a hugely important thing, right? I remember as a kid, there were some old timers that were good players, and they would sit and talk to me and they'd say, Zach, man, the grip is so important. It's such a huge thing in golf, And I would kind of, oh yeah. And I would go work on other stuff, starting my hips or getting my right elbow in, stuff that's more sexy, that's more fun. But as I've been teaching for longer and longer and longer, if you get this right consistently, all that other stuff starts to fall in place more consistently, right? A lot of times the root problem is someone's battling a bad club face that's too open or too closed. And then it starts to set off this chain of events where they start coming over the top, they start flipping their hand, they're just doing stuff to try to get the ball to go straight. where really the root was just having the right grip to start and then keeping that grip as they swing. Okay, so those old timers are right. I didn't know it now, but I do know it then. You know, like you said, as you get older, you start to realize certain things that maybe you didn't always see when you were younger. So, you know, we have some more information on the straight stick down below, right? We've got some links to buy it. It's a really good invention for performance golf. Stay tuned. I've got another video where it's going to talk about this compression clicker and what that's going to do for kind of the timing of your release and the path of your swing, right? Two other very important variables to get right swing after swing. Those are a little more dictated towards generating power at the right time, getting your hand speed to peak, and then getting the hands to actually slow down and the club head to accelerate correctly on plane, right? This first one though about the grip, it's big, man. And I know the grip is not sexy to everybody, right? But trust me, you get your hands on the club right and you keep them there, it's gonna really make you play some much better golf.